So can I ask you something? When you look in the mirror and you actually like what you see, does that make you feel confident or does it just make you feel covered? Because for a long time, that was me. I was the second one. I just felt covered and I didn't even realize it. So I'm Laura. Welcome back. It's been 3 years, I believe, since I've been here, since I filmed anything like this, but I am coming back in a slightly different way. We're still going to focus on beauty, but we are going to dive a little deeper into some other things. So if you're ready for that, you're in the right place. Let's get started. So one thing that has not changed about me in the last 3 to 5 years is my brows are still number one. That will always be the case. I've changed up the way that I do my brows kind of, but still will always be the first thing that I do, my favorite part of my makeup step to do. And here's the thing about your brows. My biggest tip that I can give you is that brow trends are going to come and go. They're going to change. Some are going to like it thick. Some are going to like it thin. I feel every 2 to 3 years it changes. And you have to figure out what works best for your brows. What shape works best for your brows? What's something that you actually enjoy doing? But brows are still number one. And I definitely need to film an updated brow routine. So now let's get into why I stopped posting on YouTube, because I feel like I definitely owe an explanation for kind of leaving you high and dry. And part of the reason why I left YouTube and really stopped focusing on long form content was because life got really busy. At the time when I was really into my YouTube channel, I was early in my career. I had plenty of time to just sit and film and do. And after 2020, life for me changed, as I'm sure it did for everybody else. But I also had a lot of, personal updates. So I ended up getting married, ended up moving, got a new job. Like the last few years of my life have been super busy, but I also ended up just hitting a wall. I hit a really hard creative wall when it came to long form content. The beauty space had just been so inundated with so much content, short form content, long form content, YouTube, TikTok, like all of the things that I had to pause. And one of the things that I really tried to pride myself on is being authentic as I can be. And I just got to the point where posting on YouTube wasn't me being fully authentic. Now, if you follow any of my other pages, I have been somewhat consistent with like short form content. So I was still somewhat active on Instagram, tried my hand at TikTok for a bit. But here's the thing, short form content doesn't really let you get to know the person unless you're like binge watching a lot of their content. And even then, like you don't get to just sit down face to face with someone and have a conversation. You just get a moment. You just get a quick few seconds. You get to see just highlights of what's going on. But I feel like a lot of what you can know or learn about people are in the longer conversations, are in the real and raw conversations. And I got just to the point where I miss that. I miss being able to just sit down. And honestly, I went back and looked at a lot of my old YouTube videos, and there was a moment where I was just like, who was this girl? This girl that was just so real, so raw on camera, didn't care how her hair looked, didn't care what was going on. She just came to post and share what she was loving in the beauty space, the trends that she was seeing, how to do your makeup, hopefully giving really good tips on just how you can do your makeup as an everyday woman. She was just herself. There is no strategy. There is no focus on the algorithm. There was none of that. I realized that I really miss that version of myself. I miss the version of just sitting down, filming, talking to the camera, and encouraging someone else, just one to one, if you will. So this is me trying to come back to a little bit of that. Like I said, so much has changed in my life since then, but beauty is still 100% a part of my life, just in a different capacity. But this time, I do want to include conversations on just real life, right? So not just beauty tips and tricks and how to do your makeup and, all of that, but really focusing on the real things that are happening in life, because that's what I've been doing outside of this space for the last couple of years. So with that, I do want to talk about something that I've been kind of sitting on for a while. And this is part of the reason why I'm coming back into the YouTube space. And that's for a few reasons. Number one, if you know me, if you've been here for a while, or if you don't, I have worked in corporate for 10 years. This year legitimately makes 10 years. And one of the things that I've noticed in my time working in corporate is that I have worked with so many amazing women, so many amazing, talented, capable, smart women. A lot of these women have all struggled with a lot of the same things I struggle with, and that I'm sure even you or people that you know struggle with. And that is, we can look so put together on paper, but then on the inside, we're crumbling. On the inside, we're unsure. On the inside, we are questioning our value and our worth, but nobody would think about it because we look so put together on the outside, right? The hair, the job, the career, but behind closed doors, it's not the same story. Not the same story at all. And it wasn't just with one or two types of women that I was noticing this with. It was with a majority. And I'm talking different ages, different generations, spanning across parts of different parts of their career. And it was like the wildest phenomenon to me that all of these women from all completely different backgrounds, right? I'm talking some of these were my peers, some of these were friends, some of these were bosses, senior leaders. There was a pattern. They all struggle with the same thing. And I don't say that coming from a place of judgment because I've been there. I've been this woman 100%. You can have every external marker of success and still feel like something is off. And what I've come to really understand is that no amount of makeup, no amount of skincare, no amount of anything external, even a perfectly curated life. I don't care what it looks like on social media. I don't care what friends and family may think is happening. None of that is going to fix what is broken on the inside. And that is not a beauty problem. That's an inner work problem. And that is where I had to pause and realize I love helping women feel beautiful. I love helping them with different tips and tricks when it comes to makeup and beauty and skincare. But the real work is the inner work. And that's the tricky part. That's the part that a lot of people don't want to talk about. That's the part that keeps so many women stuck for so long, is that we don't want to do the inner work. We don't want to talk about what's actually happening on the inside, where our value and our worth is actually being pulled from. Because right now, social media will have you thinking it's all external. Social media will have you chasing every fad, every crave, every trend. And at the end of the day, then you still realize I'm still not happy. I still have questions. I'm not satisfied with my life. And I'm not talking about like this idea that you just have to be completely satisfied with everything happening in your life, but there does need to be a sense of inner peace that says my value and my worth is not tied to anything external of me. So it's not tied to my job. It's not tied to my title. It's not tied to my house. It's not tied to my spouse or my friends or my kids. Like it all is because of who I am as a person. And so spending all that time in corporate America, I just realized that most people, most women specifically, don't get to that place. I remember having a conversation with one of my old leaders, and we would come across this conversation probably monthly in just our normal touch bases because she was overworked, she was super stressed, she was trying to be everything to everyone, and she was neglecting her health. And it was to the point that she had major health issues, but she didn't see the correlation between how she was living and how it was affecting her body. I heard a quote the other day that says, "The body keeps score." So, regardless of how many things we like to push down and not talk about and just pretend don't affect us, our body keeps score, right? Like our body holds on to all of that unless we get to the point of releasing it and working through it. And I remember with this leader at the time, it was kind of like a brick wall. It's like she knew, but she didn't want to address it. She didn't want to face it. And so I have had countless conversations like that with, again, leaders, friends, family, whatever. But it's real. It's a very big problem in our community. And I just don't want to come back here and just act like everything is all hunky dory and like, yes, let's just talk beauty. There's plenty of other people that will give you the best tip and the best trick for a winged liner or for doing your blush or all of the different trends that are happening. But I want to incorporate a mix between beauty and like self care. Like, let's uncomplicate self care. Let's be real and honest about what we need to do. And so I'm excited to kind of bring that back into the space. Again, it's a little different than what I was doing, but it is very real and authentic to who I am right now. And here's one of the things that I personally keep coming back to, like knowing what to do and then actually doing it are two completely separate things. You can read every book on confidence. You can read every book on self-care. You can read every book on every diet that's out there. But if you don't actually put into practice anything, it's just knowledge, specifically head knowledge, right? Like if I read a book on surfing, I couldn't go out to the beach tomorrow and surf. I could try, but it's not going to be that great because it's gonna be my first time doing something. Versus if I read the book and then I started slowly but consistently applying practice by practice, exercise by exercise, doing the reps, getting the reps in, then it's going to feel a little bit different when I go out there because it's going to take time to get better at something, but getting better at something means actually doing it. It's kind of like the idea that you can't surf until you've gotten in the water and fallen 100 times. It takes practice. Also, side note, I'm still using this palette. It's the Jacqueline Hill Morphe palette, volume 2. Specifically, I love this palette because of this one shade. I don't pretty much use any other shade in here except this one, G Money. If anyone can find me a duplicate for this shade, I will owe you 10 times over because there's just something about this shade that I love. It's perfect on my skin tone. Like this shade is just chef's kiss. I love the shade so much. Just a quick side note on that. But yeah, so back to what I was saying. I just really want to help women show up more fully in their life, in their relationships. And I feel like I can do that through short form content and will continue to do that. But there's just something different about sitting down and just talking to a friend, like one on one. And I thought, what better way to do that than back on YouTube? Because again, I still am a beauty girl through and through. We're still going to have this time of just like, let's get ready together and let's do our makeup, try new products together, all of that good stuff. But I do want to share my heart on what it means to actually be healthy in your heart and in your soul when it comes to relationships, when it comes to work, when it comes to work-life balance, all of those things. And here's the thing, I've spent most of my life working on this, unbeknownst to me, right? Like I've always been that friend that listened. I've always been that friend to give advice when it comes to really heavy stuff that happened in people's lives. And a few years ago, I realized that I could do something with that and I can help women to a greater capacity. So that's what I want to do. I want to be your internet bestie to help you and remind you to get up, dust the dirt off, try again. I'm also 100% still a winged liner girly through and through. That has not changed even in the last 5 years. So aside from all of that, this is kind of like my everyday makeup routine. Just simple base, a little bit of eyeshadow, liner, and then the basics, blush, a little bit of bronzer, and then we will finish with lips. And if there are specific makeup looks that you want to see, more than happy to obviously record, film, and walk through it. Because again, I'm still the natural glam girl. I got you. I got you on all of that. One thing I will share is that when it comes to this topic, of building confidence, self-esteem, things like that, that are not attached to your beauty, that's not attached to the external. I share it, and I hope you hear my heart. I share it because since I was young, I'm talking a little girl, I have always struggled with feeling confident and being bold and putting myself out there, partly because of how different I looked. Part of my testimony is I've never liked how I looked. I've never liked how I sound. It's just always been one of my biggest insecurities. And I've just never fit in that mold that I feel like I've just always strived and wanted to fit in. And it wasn't until the last few years that I finally am at a better place where I realized, you know what? There is no mold. You don't have to fit into some certain box or some certain category in order to feel accepted. One of the things that, if you follow me on Instagram, I share a lot of just quick moments about if you're constantly seeking the approval of others, like if you're constantly auditioning for this role that you think you're supposed to play, you're going to be auditioning your entire life. You're going to be practicing and chasing your entire life because you're never going to fit the mold. You're never going to win that approval. Like it's kind of like the carrot dangling in front of the racehorse. It's just never going to come. And it's not until you realize that you can take a step back and say, you know what? I have to accept me for who I am. I have to accept me for who and how God designed me to be. And that I think really, truly is like my life's passion, is helping other women see that, because I, through and through, understand that to a T. I understand it. So here's what I want to leave you with. When you look good, you feel good, right? But I'm not confident because I feel good. I feel good because I'm confident. The way that I look, the way that I show up, the way that I live my life, it should all be a reflection of how you feel about yourself on the inside. That's the shift. That's everything. And that is what I want to instill in this channel. So if you are new here, welcome. I'm so glad you found this. And if you've been here a while, thank you from the bottom of my heart for staying. This is me, just back in a different way. And I think you're going to love it here. I hope you've enjoyed this really quick. Every day, get ready with me, where we talked about some real things. And I hope you are going to stay for the journey ahead. So with that, I will see you in the next one.